My name is Leo. I worked on a crab boat, the Norwegian Sea, cold and empty like coffins under the ice. It wasn't my first trip, but I swear to God, it was my last. We were fishing for king crab, for fuck's sake. People think it's romantic. Ships, storms, wind in your face. In reality, it's rust under your nails, blood in your gloves, and a cold that climbs under your skin and chews on your bones like a rat. There were 12 of us on board, including Captain Cooper. Old Man Cooper was a real sea beast, skin like jerky, eyes like a seal, and faith, not in God, in the sea. He spoke of it like it was alive. He made offerings, tossed coins and crumbs into the water, and whispered things to himself when he thought no one was listening. I saw, I heard, and I didn't laugh. Out at sea, over time no one laughs at that kind of thing. My bunkmate was Ralph. We shared a cabin, but barely crossed paths. I worked the day shift, he worked nights. 12 hours a day, you're either on deck or in a coma. That's how we lived. One sleeping, the other covered in sweat and fish slime, then switch. It all started going wrong when the traps started coming up empty, or nearly empty. Sometimes there were just claws, torn off, scattered like toys, and dense, thin steel bars bent like spaghetti. Crabs don't do that, not even big ones. God damn it, muttered Bjorn, a big guy from the north. That's not a crab, that's a fucking crocodile. We were fixing traps every shift. The captain got quieter, stared out at the horizon more, and started spitting into the water like it was a ritual. Nobody joked. Nobody laughed. We should have just moved to a different spot. But who knew? Who the fuck knew? One night, Ralph woke me up. I came to with him shaking me. His face was pale like a corpse, and his eyes were wide like a chimp caught mid-shit. "Get up, for fuck's sake," he whispered. "Something just fucking happened. I can't keep this to myself." I sat up in the bunk, my eyes burning like they'd been rubbed with pepper. Ralph spoke in broken sentences. They were hauling up a trap. Seemed normal at first. Then, "It was inside," he said. "Not a crab. Something else." He was shaking like from cold. Head like a fish, you know, the kind with glassy eyes. Body like a fucking octopus, but the hands were human. "Leo, do you hear me? It had fucking hands." He swore it was eating the crabs, that it twisted the trap from the inside like it knew where the weak point was. It was almost gone, almost slipped back into the sea. Slippery, fast, like a snot ball with a motor. But Ralph hit it with an oar. "I killed it," he said, quietly. And then, right before it died, it looked at him, and it covered its face with those disgusting hands. Like a person. He was trembling. Captain Cooper screamed, like something inhuman, when he saw the thing's skull caved in. His eyes burned with pure horror. "No!" he roared. "What have you done?" Then he leaned in close to me and whispered in my ear, his voice terrifyingly calm. "You've signed our death warrant." "What? What the fuck does that even mean?" Ralph asked me. I just shook my head, letting him know I had no answer. Told him to down 100 grams of something strong and sleep it off. So he did. That night, the crew dumped the creature's body overboard. No discussion, just silence, like they wanted to erase it. But the sea didn't forget. At first, everything went smoothly. After they tossed that thing overboard, the crab traps started filling up again. And what a catch! Big ones, fat claws like wrecking balls. The weight was right, and the merchants in Bergen were probably already counting their cash. But the joy was off. No celebration. A heavy tension clung to the boat. Captain Cooper got even quieter. He'd stand on deck in the evenings, staring into the fog and whispering in a language I didn't know. Sometimes he'd take a knife, slice his finger, and drip blood into the sea. "Their offerings," he muttered once when I caught him. "Maybe they'll be enough. Maybe they'll forgive us." "Who, Captain? What's happening?" "Maybe it'll all blow over," I asked once. He turned slowly. His face looked like dried flounder, eyes wet and lifeless. He ignored the first half of my question and replied, "No, it won't blow over," he said. "Can't you hear the water singing?" I couldn't. Only the wind, the engine, and the occasional scream of a gull. A day passed, then a night. We found slime on the deck. Weird stuff. Slippery, cloudy, smelled like rotten fish and ozone. It was everywhere. Stairs, metal railings, even the wall outside our cabin. No prints, no wet boots, nothing. Just that sticky slime, and a dent in the door. Nobody saw or heard anything. We blamed it on random stuff. A leaking tank, maybe. Jellyfish, whatever. Weird shit. But then, something happened we couldn't ignore. Bjorn disappeared. It happened at night. I was asleep when I heard the scream. Not just a scream, a roar of pure terror ripping through the darkness. I bolted up and ran to the deck. 2 others were already there. Blood, not drops, splashes, drag marks, like someone had been pulled, not by hands, but claws, like a cat dragged by its hind legs. Dark smears led to the edge of the deck, and nothing, just silence and the sea. He was screaming, someone said, screaming that something was pulling him down, something was on his legs. We searched the ship, every corner, the engine room, even the crab hold. Only in the machinery section, the pump was making this wet slurping noise, like it was sucking something soft through its pipes. The captain radioed the Coast Guard. The reply was, "Storm. Rescue possible in 6 days. Hold tight." We didn't move. The engine ran, the screws spun, but the boat didn't go anywhere. Like something was pulling us down. Not the anchor, not a failure. Something had us. "Leashed," Captain Cooper said. "We're on their leash now." The next night, Thomas vanished. Quietly. Just didn't show for his shift. We found his jacket near the door to the deck. And blood. Again. Then it was Harold, Knut, Benny, Oliver. Half the fucking crew just gone. Every day, less of us. We didn't eat, barely slept. Some tried praying, some banged on the walls. Ralph even tried to open the emergency raft. Captain punched him across the face, trying to snap him out of it. "Don't you get it?" he hissed. "They don't want the boat. They want you, me, everyone who killed their child." "What the fuck are you talking about, old man?" Ralph shouted. "A child? You heard it screech before you killed that thing? It wasn't a roar. It wasn't a scream. It was a baby's cry. And trust me, motherfucker, its parents heard it. They nearly killed each other. I had to pull them into separate cabins. On the fourth night, we heard the footsteps, wet, heavy. Something slapped around the galley floor, like someone had hauled up a human-sized dead fish. Whoever they weren't hiding anymore. Ralph curled into a corner, shaking, unable to speak. I stood with a knife in hand. The captain looked at the ceiling, mumbling, sweat on his brow but hands steady. A door creaked open down the corridor. And then the screams. Ray, Nikolai, Ramco, torn apart, judging by the sound. They were big guys, but the last scream cut off in seconds. Then the door to our cabin creaked open. They stood in the doorway, not monsters. Beings. Fish eyes, tentacles, scales, but faces. Long arms. There were 5 of them, at least 8 feet tall. They moved through the halls like they knew them. They were looking for someone. They were looking for Ralph. I couldn't move, body frozen. The captain stepped in front of me, shielded me with his body, and started praying, desperately, in a language I didn't know. But Ralph was doomed. They didn't kill him right away. They fucking executed him, right in front of me. They gutted him, tore out his tongue. One of them pressed its tentacles into his eyes, then whispered something to him in a sick, gurgling voice, holding his face with both hands. Like a goodbye. I braced for the end, but they didn't even look at me, or the captain. They just left, slowly, like they'd done what they came for, and headed back to the abyss they crawled out of. They found us the next morning. The ship was drifting. The weather cleared. Coast Guard pulled us out by helicopter, me and Cooper. He was gray-haired, eyes empty. Me? Same, total shock. I don't remember the rescue, the hospital, the discharge. All I want, all I dream about, is finding Captain Cooper, getting some answers, anything. Even though I know there's no answer that would make this any easier to live with.